Yes. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And also those are watching me on Facebook. Jazakallahu khair for being there. Today, as I promised at 10:30, I wanted to come live on this Q&A session because most of the parents were asking few questions with me, which were again and again, almost common question which were repeated. So I thought, why not, address this particular issue online and go live on this, because regarding this, I think many of them have concerns. So just 4 questions today I'll be addressing, and until then, whoever is watching me online, Jazakallah, thank you. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, do subscribe, and also hit the notification button, because you will be notified whenever I upload videos or whenever I go live. You will be getting the notification and you can take the maximum benefit out of this. Okay. Now, whoever is there with me, just let me know. Just one sec. I'm just trying to open YouTube and Facebook here, but it's not getting connected. Maybe due to network issue somehow. Okay. Anyway, so let us move ahead now. What I want to tell you is the first question that I have is from Meenakshi Suvarna. Thank you, Meenakshi, for asking that question. Hello, ma'am. I majorly have this issue at home. My husband gets annoyed when I instruct my child. I get pissed off when he does that in front of my teenager. How to handle this? Okay, so this has become one of the major concerns, because having consensus with parents, between the parents, is very important, and this is not found in most of the parents these days. What happens is parents are not getting that particular concern or that consensus, or they don't come in common terms. Usually what happens is, when this is the case, it becomes very difficult for parents to decide as to what to do and what not to do. Okay, the child also is getting an idea that parents, he's agreeing to certain things, that parents are having that disagreement between regarding the discipline or any other matters for that matter. So here it becomes of course, I say that differences in the opinion is natural, and there's nothing wrong about it. Okay, having differences in your opinion, in your thoughts, it is something okay, but in front of the child, never make the child understand, recognize that you both are not in common terms. Okay, first thing you have to understand is regarding the structured communication that you both must have, especially when you are spouses. You need to have structured communication between both of you. Like you should have maybe once in a month or once in 15 days at least. You must sit together and discuss about the child's, or at least your parenting goals. What is it? Okay, you must have one common goal at least on the parenting. So this is very important. Especially what happens is the random talks, what we do with our spouses. All of a sudden we just come and talk about our issues, and we talk about our concerns regarding our children. This becomes a problem. Don't talk randomly, because it creates that havoc in the relationship as well. So discuss in details what are your common goals in parenting, and ultimately it's not that you have to prove you are right or you are wrong, or the other person is right or wrong. It's about the parenting goal that you want to achieve, the outcome that you want to achieve. This is more important. So we have to be mindful about the outcome, the results, what is going to happen. So both of you should have that in the mind. So once I may argue, I may prove that my spouse is right, or my spouse is wrong and I'm right. But here what happens is, ultimately the the intention of parenting, the goal behind this is lost. Okay, so you both have to understand this particular thing, and uh, you know we have to also take care that these disagreements, children take an advantage. They try to impress one parent whom he can bend easily and try to overcome, or he wants to get things done very easily. He will get it done. Even if you don't agree to it, one of you may not agree, but he gets it done because he knows that there are disagreements in certain terms. Okay, this becomes a problem in the later stage. I mean, once the child passes this teenage, and then, after that also it creates a lot of problem. And for this reason, what we have to understand is arrange an open discussion. What I would suggest is open discussion you should have with your spouse. And here, few things that you as a parent must take into consideration is that do not blame your spouse. When you're having this discussion, don't blame. You did this last time. I told you this has happened now. No blaming, because once you start blaming, this discussion is going to end there itself. You will not continue this. Your spouse also may not be able to continue. So don't blame each other. Make it a point. Certain conditions you have to, there should be some conditions levied here. The first thing is you do not blame. The second thing is do not instruct. I want you to do this. Don't instruct your spouse that you have to do this only. Don't try to instruct, and don't validate. Just try to validate that only my point is right and yours is not. This happens with most parents when they come to us one-on-ones. When both of them sit together, we can see that there are misunderstandings sometimes, or there are disagreements between the parents only. Obviously the child is confused regarding the discipline when these things are there in the house, right? So we should see to it that expressing it very calmly also, sometimes it creates, it outbursts sometimes, and this is going to create a problem. Again, we have to see to it that we are only talking about the observations of the child. We will only talk, just make it very clear that we are not here to prove who is right and who is wrong. We are just here to talk about the observation. What do you observe about the child? I observed these things this week. The whole week I saw this. I could see that these are the changes in my child in this particular month. So just try to talk about the observations and the outcome, what you want to achieve from this, or what is it that, what is your plan? So try to talk about the plans, but not about all these, do not force the parent to do those things, and try to instruct them. This is not going to happen. So this is one thing is you have to understand that this is a part of parenting. Try to make it a point that you are making it as a part of parenting only, as a journey. This is also a part where you have to address about the child's behavior by observing them. And I mean, when you observe, it's not just like policing them. Of course, don't try to, be like a spy everywhere. Observation means you are just going to observe what the child is doing naturally. I mean, there is no special kind of treatment that you want to give here. Okay, just try to do it. And another major concern that parents have here is when you have these misconceptions, or when you have this problem with your disagreements, you usually fight with each other in front of the child. Okay, you argue with your child in front of your child, with your spouse, and this creates again a long-term effect in the child's emotional as well as the physical health. So you have to be very mindful about it. If you fight, also try to make it a point that you resolve that problem in front of the child itself. Let the child understand that problems are okay. If you have misconceptions also, you need to resolve it. The child has to learn. Lastly, here I want to mention is the support that you want to give. Promise your spouse that you will be supporting each other no matter what. Anything comes, I will be there to support my spouse. This should be the promise between both of you. And keep these meetings frequently. If it is a teenager, then it should be more frequent, because there are certain changes that occurs very quickly. Okay, I hope Meenakshi, your question is answered by now. Okay, now moving to the second question. This is from Ms. Abida. Here, what she's asking is, I keep a rule at home regarding sanitation and chores. It is specific, fixed at times, but sometimes I need to yell to get things done. I don't want to be in authority, or I don't want to boss over, but end up being the one. Please, I need help. Okay. So, Miss Abida, this is one thing that I want to tell you, that yelling or spanking, overreacting, it's common in parents, but this has to be avoided as much as possible, because yelling will not help us in any ways. Commonly these things we express. Okay, but one thing we have to understand is this way of communication. Sometimes when we overreact, we don't know what are the words that comes out of our mouth. This is when you speak in that terms, it becomes very difficult for the child to digest those words. For example, you may say you are lazy, or you end up branding the child. Okay, so be mindful about the words, but of course, raising the voice, very rarely it's fine. I mean, that's not an issue much when compared to that of the words that you speak. But your tonality, your gesture also matters a lot, because in communication, I have these workshops and I speak about this in my workshop also, how to communicate rightly to your child. We have to understand that the 55% of our communication is all about our body language, right? So when you talk to your child, and the tonality that we have, almost 37% is all about our tonality. There also it becomes very, it is impacting so much that the child feels low and he feels discriminated sometimes. This should not happen. Of course, we need certain things, some rules and regulations are to be done. But I just want to ask you, if it is the rules you have set in, who was there along with you? Was it the child also was involved in making the rules, in preparing, the set of rules that have made? Was the child involved or not? When the child is not involved, usually we will have to force the child, and forcing, comes into place. This becomes a problem. If the child is also involved in making rules, I don't think it becomes bigger problem, because you have mutual understanding and mutual agreements, and that's how the rules are framed. At homes, especially, I suggest that parents involve their spouse, and also sometimes, and more, I mean, it is important for the child also to be there in framing the rules. And what happens is, when the child is not involved, we get into frustration, and after that we start reacting. Sometimes it so happens that rules are framed only when things get out of control. For example, the child is not able to do the chores that is instructed to him, and when he doesn't do that work, then we try to enforce and create a rule. If you don't do this, then you will not have this. Now what happens is, when the situation is burning, and then you are trying to build, or you're trying to frame this rules, it becomes a problem there. You are not in the stable condition to actually frame rules. We become overreactive. We are not in that state of mind. We are not calm. And then we are creating rules. And this becomes problem. So rules should be collaboratively done. Okay, the first thing, involve them. Seek their point of view. Even if they are wrong, it's all right. Don't blame them, but just tell them, what is your point of view? If you don't do your bed every day, then what has to be done? come into the common terms to the conclusion also. Like if you have not consequences of what has to be done, if the rules are not followed, that also has to be communicated very clearly. Okay. Now they may say, no, we don't agree. Okay, we don't agree to this, whatever you are talking about. We have another opinion. Yes, it's all right. Just validate their point, appreciate. Yes, I do agree. If I were in your condition, even I would think in this matter. But then tell them the rationale and tell them like what exactly are why you have to do this. And you are right when you tell all these things. But these are the matters that I was thinking about. Talk about your expectations also. Why you want them to do, why is that you expect all these rules and regulations, their chores and everything, whatever you have said, what is the reason behind this? Let them know about it. Because once you don't communicate all these things, the child is not able to understand what are your expectations. And the child feels unnecessarily mama is all these, she's trying to bombard her rules and regulations on me. I don't want to do it. If you tell the whys behind it, what happens, why you have to give the sanitation, or what is the importance of keeping your bed clean and making all these things, why your house should be clean, all these things about your values, about your religion, about your things. If you start telling about it, you may start talking about the hadith also, about prophetic incidents also, why these sanitation is required. Then the child is able to understand it. Okay, maybe you need to convince the child more, but mutually agree to certain consequences and then start framing the rules. Do not frame the rules when you have when already the time has passed. Start anticipating, like what are the few rules, if broken then what can be done. So these are the things that you need to have in advance, and try to frame rules in that manner. And one thing I want to tell you, yelling will not help you. It's obviously making your child less productive, so be mindful about it. Okay, the third question, I hope the answer is clear. Abida, Sister Abida, I hope it is clear. Now, the third question is, okay, Assalamu alaikum. My teenager wants to have night out, late night parties, as others in his class are allowed. My husband also doesn't like this. How do I convince this boy? He turns aggressive and violent. Okay, I understand. This is again, okay, this is from Aisha Samina. Thank you, Aisha, for giving me this question. Of course, this is again seen in most parents these days. This concern is seen. I understand this because what I feel is since it's the mixed community we have, and now parents are getting modernized, they want their children to be having that freedom which they didn't experience. They want, some parents just leave their children. I don't say it is most of them, but a few of them, and this gets attracted by our children also. They feel that we are being very hovering kind of a parent. We don't want such parents, or they may feel that only my parent is like this. Now, what is the major concern? Of course, we have that apprehensions also, like something may go wrong, or they may start taking in some kind of unwanted stuff, or substance use. They may get into drugs and all that stuff. Of course, those apprehensions are very common, and it's natural. But what I think is, do you really feel that rules are needed for teens? Just let me know in the comment section. Do you think rules are needed? If yes, then let me know if these rules should be flexible or not. What do you think? Do you think these rules are set only for one particular time and they cannot be changed at all? If that's the thing, I will tell you, certain things are flexible and certain rules are firm. You cannot change few rules. So what are the rules that you need to change? You can change according to few circumstances. Of course, you can't tell that to your child that these rules can be changed and they are flexible. Of course, you don't need to. But when you have certain circumstances, when the time comes and you need to change, you can change. But the changes that cannot happen, firm rules, are when your child's physical and mental health are at stake, or the safety of the child is at stake. These rules cannot be flexible at all. Make the child aware of this, that your health will affect. Late night parties, what is going to happen when it comes to you want to go out, or night outs also sometimes. What is it? What time are you going to reach here? And how is it affecting your mental health later on? All that things you need to communicate that to your child without giving them any kind of harsh instructions. It's not about the instructions, it's all about communication that matters. The very first thing you should have is communication. The more you communicate to your child about the rest of things, like the more often you communicate, these things become easy, especially with the teenagers. So I recommend that all the parents, whoever is having tweens about to get into teenager, such children, parents should talk to them more and more, especially, when the child is 9, 10, 11 years. Try to talk to them, communicate to them so much that they be in touch with you even when they reach to their teens. Okay. And these things, you should tell them that when your values, family values are at stake, that becomes a problem again. You should not be flexible in those rules. When your values or your religion, your custom, whatever you have at your own house, if that is at stake, don't allow them. Don't be flexible here. You should be firm enough. But the thing is, make them understand it. Make them understand that this is not to be done at home. For example, being at home at 10 o'clock. You should be at home by 10. So this cannot be changed. Okay, this is the value that is at home we have been doing. Make sure that you too be there at 10, before 10. It's not that, you need to understand that children don't watch, or children don't try to imitate our clothing, our styles, and, the way we walk and way we talk. It's all about the moral values, the ethics, all these, the integrity, respect, these things they do follow. They watch us, they imitate us. It becomes easier for them also, because once they start watching you, they see that you are sticking onto that same rules and values that we are, raised. It gets imbibed very easily. And the thoughts and these practices that are imbibed easily, it becomes, it is reflected through their actions very quickly. You don't need more efforts there. Okay, this is the major concern that we all have to understand. Use the rules wisely. Don't try to create a barrier between you. These rules should not become the barrier, what I feel, because you should feel that this rule should get you closer to each other. Make it in such a way that it becomes impressive. The child should feel that, yes, my mama is doing it for my sake, my dad is doing it for my sake. Okay, bring that concern in creating rules also. So when you do that, it becomes easier for child also to take that action. Okay, so you should tell them about the consequences also. Very important one is about the consequence. Try to talk about the consequences also, that what happens if you go out, and what if you do not come at 10 o'clock, then what? So all these things are to be mentioned, and slowly, it has to be reinforced as well. All of a sudden it won't come, but you need to tell that repeatedly. Patience is the key here. Be patient, tell them nicely, use good tonality. I mean, your tone and your words also should be matching, and also you need to talk to them very politely. Okay, I hope this is the answer that I could give from my end. Okay, Aisha. So another last question today that I want to take is a sister who doesn't want her name to be mentioned. Okay, so she just wrote to me, Assalamu alaikum. My question is, my son just entered college, first PUC. He used to be very polite, disciplined in the family. Now a drastic change, always busy with his Rubik's Cube and mobile, and harsh and violent behavior with elders when they want to correct him, especially. Okay, why is this change? How to handle him? So when the child is being corrected or the child is shown some kind of trying to impose some discipline or actions, there the child feels aggressive or he gets aggressive. He doesn't want to do it. Okay. So the sister, I just want to tell you, you have to be aware of certain teenage behaviors initially. So teenagers have, their parents especially should know about all these things. What I feel is you need to anticipate those changes beforehand. What is going to happen when my child turns out to become a teen? Okay. So the fact is that their minds are hijacked by their hormones. The hormones are developing very quickly. Okay, this is a stage where there are so many changes, rapid changes that is taking place in their body, and these changes, it's not under their control. And let me tell you, their brain is not yet developed. Until the age of 22 to 24, their brains are not developed fully. So we need to understand that they are not matured enough. Don't try to expect all these things. It becomes, foolishness from our part to expect that they should be vigilant enough. They should be, matured enough to understand all these things. No, they are not stable. You can't expect them to be stable at this point of time. It becomes very difficult because their brain is yet to be developed. Okay, it is underdeveloped. Now it's just developing and it needs time. So when I say it is hijacked, the brain is hijacked, it means that they act foolish sometimes. And we need to expect that from our children. They are foolish because they are teens. Just try to understand that. So these reactions, sometimes they are cool, sometimes aggressive, sometimes, they don't want to listen to it. Because another reason what I feel here is instructions are given as instructions there. This is again a problem. Child should know what are you instructing and why it has been told. Earlier it was not there because those being assertive is again the nature of a teenager. You cannot expect that the child will be calm because internal changes are happening continuously. You can't expect that the child will be very calm at that point of time. So it's our duty to empathize this child, in fact. It's not that you can complain. You need to empathize about the child, saying that, okay, what else can I do? Because this is the time where when you compare your child with the adult, this children, especially teens, will have 2x or 3x the emotions of adults. Like for example, if I get wild when a person is coming and telling me or instructing me, I get wild. But at the same time, the same event when it takes place with a teenager, he gets twice angrier than me. Now, this is the fact. 2x and 3x emotions we can expect from these children. It's because of these hormonal changes that are taking place every now and then continuously in the body. So we need to be more vigilant actually. We need to be more stable. We need to understand the child in a better way, communicate in a way that he feels convinced. Somewhere when you are talking about the mobile or when you're talking about the Rubik's Cube, maybe the words are not appealing to him. The child is feeling very bad because sometimes our words may matter or our gestures may matter, or sometimes the way we express all these things, the rules and regulations, where we don't again involve the child, this also may be a problem. Okay, tell them about, anticipate about the changes that can take place. And the second thing is reinforce the rules. Tell them about the rules, why is also behind the rules, and at the same time tell them, the if you have to be violent, like what happens if you become violent, or if you are into any kind of unwanted habits, what is going to happen? These things are to be explained as a case study. Don't talk about, directly. Don't try to blame the child. You have done this. You are the one who is doing it. When you talk about all these, directly asking a question. Okay, why have you not done it? Why still using this Rubik's cube? Why are you still using the mobile? So when you start your communication itself with a question, the child feels aggressive. He gets pissed off. And it's obvious. It's not just the child, even we get pissed off sometimes when somebody is asking us also. So if you notice your own communication, be mindful about your communication, and this will create a lot of positive impact once you start being mindful about your words, about your own style of talking. Okay, your expression matters a lot. So I hope these uh, points are helpful for you as well. Okay. If you have any concern regarding this, you can let me know in the comment section as well. And also a small notice that I want to give you: I will be conducting 2 days free workshop for parents. Inshallah, I will be even sending the link to join my WhatsApp group. Just let me know if you are really interested to join. I will be talking about the teenagers only, especially this workshop is designed for the parents of teens. Okay, if you have major concerns regarding teenage problems and all that stuff, just let me know in the comment section. And also, I will be sharing the link here in the description. Do come and register yourself, and let us have a community to help each other. That's what I expect. Okay, thank you, Jazakallah, for joining.